photography is about this, looking at the world through a window. This is your window, and look at that. What you put inside that window, that's the photo. And then you look at reality through that window, and then you capture it, and you get that. That's the photo, exactly. And if you put it far from your eye, that's a tele. If you put it here, it's normal lens. You put it here, it's a wide angle. So that's a way to see how you open and close your field. And then the moment you decide, then you see through the window, and you see that things happen in that window. Maybe someone gets into the photo, you may decide to capture that at the beginning when he gets into the image, in the middle, at the end, maybe you decide to capture just a part of that person, or not to capture a person at all and to leave it empty. Or maybe you are looking at something and a bird flies and there's a shadow of a bird on that well. Well, maybe that's the moment. And when I'm without the camera, I'm walking, I have the camera in my pocket, for example, and I go and I pass through something and I see something there and I do something, I look like looking with one eye and trying to see how it looks. I just close one eye to see how it looks through the camera, and I have the frame in my mind. So I have the frame, which is always the 35 millimeters frame. I never felt very well with a square. There's no explanation about that I should put something here, something there. No, it's just the way I feel it. But I think I'm conscious about the construction I do, even if I take the photo in very few seconds, 10 seconds, 20, or maybe 1 minute. Maybe 1 minute, that's a long time. Because once I look at something, I go and move myself. When I find the point and I see the reflections in the windows, in the wall, or some other light that gets in, I want to put it out. That's what I do. The fronts became an obsession. If you see in this exhibition, there are many fronts. So the fronts were the front walls and the front, how do you say, the shop windows, and the fronts in different ways always were part of an obsession. But in the 80s and 90s, it used to be more melange with other things like graffiti, mannequins, reflections, some angle shots, but now I'm becoming more and more radical. That's not because I want to become radical, but I'm exclusively concerned with the fronts. And I read 2 or 3 years ago something about Rothko, and he said something that the frontal view gives you develops the real truth of the things. Because, and he explained, because when you use the perspective, you bring some importance to what is in the first place and another to who is in the other, or you may focus the second place and keep out of focus the first. But when you put it in a frontal way, everything has the same value. So it's just a construction, and you reduce it to very essential concept. I created a movement. I founded a movement, which I'm the only member, which is the frontalism. I never go out without my camera, which is a very little one. I have a professional 35 millimeters reflex camera. It's an important camera, and it's fantastic. I don't use it. I don't use it because you have to carry that. It's too heavy, and everyone looks at you. If you bring out a camera, which is very important, everyone would look at you, and they will notice that you're a professional photographer. I don't want to be considered as that, even if, of course, I am professional. I have worked as a photographer for 35 or 50, 40 years, a lot. And I photograph almost everything I like. I'm also photographing a lot of trash in the street. And I find, as I told you here, and in Buenos Aires also, faces in trash, in the paintings, in the walls, in signs. So, and I think I'm also building up a collection of faces. Yeah. Not real faces, faces that I imagine in those forms. And photographing everything. Yeah. I use the camera every day, so if I start shooting at some subject, and then I do it again, and then I do it again, it becomes an obsession. Maybe not at the really beginning, but when I have done something, and 2 months later, I'm going back again to that, and then I'm going back to that, and then again, it becomes a new obsession. I have different obsessions, like a collector. I collect different things in different boxes inside myself, and I took a photo, and I think that image as part of that collection, and then I took another thing, and it's part of another collection or series, and I try always to put everything in its own box. So I'm always working with many different subjects. I like very much all the printed matters, not the imagery or the wall paintings and the advertisements and the signs and the graphics and reflections. When I photograph people, maybe in a reflection, I look to a window, and if someone gets closer through the reflection, that's nice. So I mix a face with the reflection of the street, with another thing that's inside that window, and I like the way they combine different elements, and I think all together, because the human presence changed a lot the sense of an image. When you put a human face, when you put a human expression, usually it becomes the more important thing in a photo. We always look, when we look at photos and there's someone in the photo, the person becomes really important, and all the other things are just something that surrounds that person. You may walk every day from your house to your job and go back, and you may do that every single day of your life. But if you just don't just walk, but you go looking, watching, and finding some kind of poetry, but because finally it is about that, finding poetry in the street, in the macadam, in the asphalt, whatever you may call, or in the doors, whatever you want to look, yeah. In the plants, in the trees, because poetry is inside you. I photograph every day. I think I take photos like breathing. I take photos every day. It's not a purpose. It's not something I have to think about. I don't think, well, today I will make this kind of photos or that kind of photos. No, I don't have that feeling. I do photos every single day. And that's my way of getting a memory, and that's my way of get the feeling of the things. And making photos makes me always happy. And if I have to think, should I take that photo or not? If I have the doubt, I take the photo. Improvisation, following my own formulas. Past, always trying to record or document the past, what happened, what it is gone or going, fading. In reality, you find much more than you can imagine, and I really trust much more in your own senses than in your own thoughts in thinking. I think there's something better if you get just a personal feeling, and it is a feeling. And I think thinking too much not always takes you to the right point. Public places preferably, because for private places I have to ask for permission in one way, as we were talking. I think public places are just public, so I can take what it is public and it's exposed to everyone's eyes. Now, absolutely digital. I think it's a very important evolution, and it brings much more possibilities, but I feel nostalgic for the analogic era, but I can't go back to that. I used to be analogic for all my life. Now I can't go back. Now I became digital. Individuals. I prefer to consider each one as a person with its own feelings and thoughts and everything. So I cannot consider the people as a mass. I always consider people as single persons, even if they are a lot and together. It's my first time in Brussels, but I got so fascinated with Brussels that now today I have to say Brussels.
La première chose, c'est de faire regarder si la lumière va bien, non? De voir où sont les limites, non? Où est-ce que la photo commence. Et ici, c'est complètement abstrait, ce qu'il y a en bas. Des autres photos que j'avais fait, par exemple ça, avec ces figures. Vous avez vu ça? Triperie. Attendez, je peux regarder quelques photos de eux, je vais les voir. Luis et Ilia. Oui. Et Lucas. Ce sont... Non. Ça, ces photos j'aime bien. La combinaison est toujours une chose incroyable, c'est qu'on passe avec l'amour du vintage. Ça.
Ah, ça c'était pour Madame Gendrin, parce qu'on a travaillé sur des insectes.
Ça c'est bien aussi. Ça c'est les marolles. Ici. Ça c'est bien. I am a dream.
Ouais.
Et ça. Non. Ça c'était la même maison. C'est les friperies.
Ouais,
la construction.
aussi au tout début, c'était...
J'aime ça avec ça.